Hello and welcome back to my craft room. If you're new here, I'd like to welcome you to my channel. My name is Yvette Quale. I like to create craft tutorials for junk journaling, beadwork, paper crafting, and more. In today's video, I'm going to be demonstrating real quickly here two projects. The first one is going to be these Spackle and gesso journal cards, and I've just put a little bit of tea-dyed paper on the back to make it into a journal card. And the second thing we're going to show is how to make this holder out of a paper bag. So we're going to start today with taking this apart so you can kind of see what I've done here. So I do have a tassel on here that I made, and I have a video on how to make that. I'll link it in the description box. And this is just a crocheted piece of jute, that bleached jute that I have on here. And then inside I have a whole bunch of these journal cards that I've made, and I do have a video that shows how I do the stitching around, so I'll link that video as well. And today we're going to concentrate on the shrink-free spackle that I used to make these. So there's just a bunch of journal cards in here. They're all a little bit different, and so we'll show how to do that. And then when we get here, you can see this is a 3-pocket, actually 4-pocket counting the one up here, and 5 pockets counting the one on the back. 6 pockets actually on this one. So you can make that just 3, glue it down in your journal, and then you'll have a 3-pocket, or you can make it so it's something you slide into the journal. So you'll need a little bit of cardstock if you want to decorate it up a little more, like I did this one. This is a piece of a book page with a little bit of the spackle and gesso on there, and then a little corner pocket that I made just with a piece of cardstock. So we're not going to really decorate it. I'm just going to show you today the basics for how to make it. And the same with the journal card. I'm just going to show you the basics for how I did the spackle on there. So let me set these aside so I don't get them messed up, because I know myself. Alright, so what we're going to need, and I'll just show you what I used. You can maybe use alternatives, but this is what I used. So I got this at my local Sherwin-Williams. It's a shrink-free spackle. The important thing that you need to keep in mind, and this comes from my 28 years or so of working in the paint industry, you want this to be non-shrink. So there is spackle or drywall mud that is not shrink free, and what happens is it will shrink and then won't maintain the shape that you have with your stencil. So we need that, and you're going to need a little bit of gesso. Now I have seen other channels that just use the shrink-free spackle or the drywall mud, but I found that putting a little bit of gesso into the mix really helps to make it a little more pliable. So you can try it both ways, see what you like. That's just my take on it. So I'm just gonna get in here, have a little spatula. I got this at I think it was Walmart, and you only want to mix up enough that you're going to be using for your project, and make sure you put the cap back on. So you might hear a little noise here, but I want to make sure I have that sealed back up. So again, I just have enough in there to do what I'm going to be demonstrating. And then with the gesso, I just squeeze a little bit in there. I don't know, maybe 2 teaspoons. All right, and then we just mix that up, and you'll see how that kind of makes it a little bit more pliable. I don't know, that's just what I found kind of experimenting. So I just mix that up really good here. Sorry about the noise, I couldn't really do that before I started the video. It dries pretty quick. So over here I have a variety of papers, so I can kind of show you how it's going to look different on different kinds of paper. I have an Edith Holden book page. I have another book page from a rose book. I have a little piece of tea or coffee dyed paper. I have some tea dyed paper behind here, and then this is just a very thin piece of scrapbook paper. So really any kind of thing will work. I kind of picked different colors so you can see how it's going to show up. You can also tint this a little bit with acrylic paint. So like craft paint, just put a little bit in there and that'll do that. You can also put a little glitter in there and that can add a little bit of sparkle. So the stencils I have, I just washed them so they're wet, but I just have a bunch of different stencils. You can find these pretty much anywhere. And I got these on Amazon, so that's where I picked those up at. And then you're gonna just take this, let's do this one here. So you can tape this down if you want, or you can put your stencil on there and then kind of line up how you want it to be. I get it. And put a little bit of tape on there. So I'm probably going to do that for the purposes of the video. I don't normally do that when I'm making these. I just kind of hold it in place, but I know that things are different when I video. So I'm going to just tape that down. And I just took my little spatula here and I just put it on like this. And what I found was, you got to be careful if there's more than one pattern on there so you don't get that on there as well, unless you want it on there. So what I found was I just kind of put it on, and you'll use both sides of your knife. And then I was very generous when I did this, so it's kind of like frosting. And that's the consistency that this will have with the lightweight. I found that the regular drywall mud was a little bit thicker. It also dried a little bit more flaky, so the shrink-free lightweight is the one that I personally found to be the best for this use. So after you put it on there, you just want to scrape across it and take off the excess. Put that back in your bowl because you can use it again. And then we're going to very gently lift up the stencil. So if I tape it down, I will lift up that. Ooh, it always makes me nerve-wracking. It's very nerve-wracking. So there we go. There's that one. And I'm just going to set this over on the side here. So as you can see, you might get a little bit of spackle up there. You can kind of wipe that off before it dries. And that turned out pretty good. So I'm going to set that up here so it can dry. It does dry relatively quickly. So the next thing I'm going to do is, let's do this page on here. Now this is the type of page that I used in my samples here, and then I just did a little bit of the distress ink around the edge. So you can do part of it, you can do the whole thing and then come back and cut it or tear it. That's usually what I do. Or you can just do the whole thing and cut this out and this becomes a pocket. So again, just put that on there. However, and then just smooth it out. So I found if you move the spatula at an angle, that's going to scrape, where if you put it flat, that's going to spread it out. So a little hint there, if that's helpful. And we're just going to come down here. Again, you just want to make sure that you're getting that in there really well. And in this one, you'll see I didn't tape down, so you have to hold that in place while you work. So we're going to scrape that off. Now, if you scrape a little too much like I did there, you can just go back, put a little bit more on, and then come back through and scrape it off. Okay, lift this up. Oh, darn. And there we go. All right, and it didn't even smear, so that's good. So as you can see there, we're just going to cut that off or tear it off, and that's going to become a page. So let me put that up here to dry. And we'll do one more here. I really like that bee pattern, so I think I'm going to do that one again. All right, let me get over here. So with Edith Holden, I don't really like to do too much to her stuff. Let's see. That was on that side. Make sure we're on the same side, I think. And again, just scoop that up and put that on there. I was very generous with that one. Lift up that corner. And then go ahead and clean the rest off. So this is something I could tear along here and tear down so you have a little bit of the words on there and use that in a journal. Okay, so I reach up here and pull out my little, I have a little cabinet behind me here on my desk that holds all of my little things, and I just pull those drawers out and they become a drying rack. So again, you can use that on various different things. So let's move on to, while those dry, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next thing, which is creating the pocket here. So I'm not going to show you how to put the cardstock on there or how to make the pockets on the back. That's pretty self-explanatory, or I can explain that at the end. I'm basically going to concentrate on how I make the paper bag. So the first thing I do is I cut this down. This one is about 6 inches by a little under 6. So, and that's with this bottom part folded up. So we're just going to fold this bottom part up to about halfway. And if you have a bone folder, you'll want to use that to really get this pushed down good. If you don't have a bone folder, you can use the end of your scissors like that. Okay, and then we're going to cut this at about, I just kind of guess at it, but you know, you want that to be about 6 inches. So I'm just going to fold this and then cut it. Now you could use your cutter. I just, for this project, go ahead and use my scissors. One thing I did find was if you want your little bag to have a little notch in the top, it's much easier to do that with a punch if you have cardstock on there. If you just try to do that with the bag itself, it doesn't do so well. So it's just something to keep in mind. You could also go in here and cut it down a little more so it was a little bit lower, but that's a little more difficult and involved, so I don't usually do that. So use my Fabri-Tac glue here and clean off my nozzle, and then I just go in here, put a little bead. Oh, and you want to make sure some paper bags are off-centered a little bit. So let me see if I can find one. So I have these two sizes as well. This kind is usually off a little bit, so you can see here where this part right here doesn't quite line up. So you always want to glue the part you're gluing down, not glue this part. So I'm just going to come in here, put a little bead of glue there and a little bead of glue here, and fold that up, hold it in place for a minute, smooth it out. Now some of these have, and it depends on the kind of paper bag you get, some of them have this little flap here. I'll just go in there and glue that down before I fold anything down, because when you stick things in the pocket it has a tendency to get in the way, so I just do that. So again, we're going to grab, where did I put my bone folder? There we go. So we're just going to go in here, make sure that that's really smoothed down. Then you're going to come in here, and the same thing, we're going to glue this side of the pocket rather than what it's going down to. Just stick a little bit of glue in there, and stick that down. Okay, at that point, if you're going to put the notch in, it's easier to put your cardstock down before you glue this. And you know, if you're putting cardstock in here, it's easier to put it down, or you can do like I did and just put it in, and then this cardstock goes down inside. So just, there's a lot of different options there on how you want to do it. Again, if you want to make a notch, then I would do cardstock on there. All right, so we're going to do that. Then we need to deal with this gusset here. So what I'm going to do is just put some glue in there, and I put a little bit on the inside portion, and then I make sure that I get it really well here, just inside the outside. Now again, sometimes this doesn't line up, so you need to make sure that that's going to line up before you put that on there. So see here, I have this little bit of reveal of the back piece, and then over here, this side lines up with a little bit too. So we want to make sure that you're gluing the side that is the least outward. I don't know how to explain that. The most narrow, I guess. Sometimes it's the base of the bag, sometimes it's the flap. So it just depends on the bag. And not all the bags in a bunch are the same. So I got these bags at a local, what do you call it, restaurant store. They supply restaurants with all kinds of things, and they have the bags there. So there we have our basic structure. And then again, you're just going to add your cardstock if you want. You're going to add, I put a cardstock on the back, and then I just put a pocket on, glued that down on the 3 sides, and then made a little corner out of a piece of cardstock on there. And then you just take your ephemera pieces, once you've made those, and go ahead and just pop them in there. So again, I'll link all the videos to the other things that are on here that you see, the stitching or the beaded tassel. All those things I will have in the description box. So let's take a look at our thing here. And that pretty much is already getting dry. Let me see. Yep. So what I do with this is on tea dyed paper. So I would put a piece of cardstock, glue that down. You could glue it all the way completely down so that then you just see this on the front. You could frame it like I did here. And then on the back, I just put another piece of tea dyed paper so that you have a place to journal. So that's the basic structure of the bag and the basic way that I make my embossed journal cards. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's kind of quick and trying to jump in here when I have a minute to make a video. And I want to thank you guys. I just got 700 subscribers, so that was awesome. And I had my giveaway, and both of my giveaway people were able to contact me. So I'll be mailing out their prizes and going through doing a video on what I'm sending out. So I do appreciate you guys. If you haven't subscribed to my channel and you like my content, please subscribe and leave a comment if you'd like. If you have any questions, I'm always here to answer them, and I hope you guys have a great day.